everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Madison Paige and let's just jump into the video. Before we start, I just want to put a graphic image warning. There will be pictures and videos throughout this that depict my body and my spine before surgery and after surgery and all that. There's no blood and guts, I think, as far as I can remember, but the images can still be kind of triggering anyway. I know they trigger me, so yeah, if stuff like that bothers you, don't watch the video. But yeah, let's just get straight on into it. So for my second disabilities video, I wanted to discuss with you guys scoliosis. Scoliosis is defined as an abnormal curvature of the lateral spine. In regular people speak, that means instead of growing straight upwards, as you get older, it does more of, that. Scoliosis most often occurs during the growth spurt just before puberty and is classified into one of 7 types based on cause, age of onset, speed and progression. The different types include idiopathic, which means the cause is unknown, congenital, which means you're born with it, neuromuscular, which means it develops secondary to a muscular disorder, early onset, which means it's developed before the age of 10, degenerative or de novo, meaning it develops as an adult, the direct opposite of early onset, kyphosis, which is the forward rounding of the spine as well as, the normal irregular curve, and finally syndromic, which means secondary to some sort of syndrome. Scoliosis can be treated with a brace or surgically. It is, however, best to seek treatment in the early stages, as once the curve has gone too far, surgery is not as successful. Now, when it comes to me specifically, I have, according to my medical records, kyphosis, which, as I just mentioned, is the forward rounding of the spine as well as, that. Along with the kyphosis, I have something that is called lumbar hyperlordosis, which apparently is a normal symptom of kyphosis, but it just makes my stomach and my butt stick out, making my body kind of look like an S shape. Speaking of things that look like an S shape, here is my spine pre-surgery. As you can tell, it's pretty severe. While I was doing that, of course, it was rounding forward as well. So there was some concern that my ribs would eventually round to the point where they could puncture my lungs or my heart. So that was fun. As you could see by the x-rays, I was clearly pretty messed up on the inside. I also looked a hot mess on the outside as well. I mean, it's kind of funny because I didn't until I did. My pediatrician always suspected that I might have scoliosis, and I was under a specialist for several years, but it wasn't until I hit puberty that all of the shit kind of hit the fan. On the outside, I stood with a severe lean to one side, as you can see here, and one of my shoulder blades jutted out from my body, which I actually have some footage of. It was taken a few months before surgery, and it's just me walking around and you can see quite clearly how fucked my body looks. So I will show you that now.
Yeah. Come over here. Yeah. Okay. Have another go on this one. Go all the way over this way.
Now it still kind of sticks out, not quite to the same extent, similar with the lean. It's actually pretty rare that you will see me standing straight, because my straight shows the lean. And as much as I try to be like this confident person and like a positive role model for those with disabilities, I still get pretty insecure about it. But because I'm trying to be like, this confident, person, I will show you what the lean is like now. 3, 2, 1. I normally stand with a bend in my knee, or I raise this foot. Doing it this way makes me seem taller, but this way is more natural. As my scoliosis got worse, it became quite clear that surgery would be needed. I flew up to Auckland, where one of the leading experts in the country was based, to have 2 different surgeries. The first one is called halo gravity traction, and the second one was a spinal fusion. I was in the hospital for about 3 to 4 weeks and out of school altogether for around 1.5 2 months. I don't think I've mentioned so far, but I was like 14 around the time that this happened. So it's been almost 8 years now. Because I was there for so long, the nurses actually let me decorate my room. So I had like posters and family photos and stuff all up around me. I was in technically a double room, but I was by myself. My dad also came to stay with me for a little while, which was kind of a big deal because usually when I had medical stuff, he would be either working or in life I was a daddy's girl, but when it came to medical stuff, I was a mummy's girl. Even if he was there, I would usually ask for my mum. But yeah, he came and stayed for a bit, so that was nice as well. The first surgery, the halo gravity traction, is usually used to treat severe cases of scoliosis, which, as you saw, mine was. It's made up of a metal halo that is pinned into the outer layer of your skull and attached to a pulley system with weights hanging off of it. So that's what my 8 holes all together in my head are. You guys can sometimes see the 2 on the front and then the other ones are covered by my hair. Now the weights that are added almost immediately after the halo is inserted, and they gradually go up as time goes on that you have like the halo in. Now I had traction for about 1.5, maybe 2 weeks. This is according to my mum, because as I said in the last video, my memory when it comes to these sort of things is non-existent due to heavy dissociation. My mum was actually in charge of putting the weights on. She is a nurse, but she's been doing my medical stuff since before she became a nurse. That was always something that was super important to her. As I said in my explaining my scars video, she'll be up there somewhere, she was super involved, even if it meant that she had to be the bad guy. She got the nurses and the doctors to teach her how to do all the stuff, and she would do it. And so yeah, she was adding on the weights. She doesn't remember how heavy the heaviest weight that I got up to was, but she does remember that I was supposed to have like pretty heavy amount of weight at night when I was trying to sleep, but because I was in a lot of pain and because I wasn't sleeping at all, she ended up arguing with the people who were in charge, managed to get them to compromise to a lighter weight at nighttime, and then they'd just put on more in the daytime. The function of the weights and the traction is to stretch out the spine and surrounding soft tissue while removing the weight of gravity on the curved spine. It can also improve lung function, which can be limited by the spine curving and compressing inner organs. The traction can be used in a bed, wheelchair or walker. I specifically went from bed to chair, which I have some pictures of. I also have this photo, which my friend Harley asked me what happened in this photo. I'm pretty sure that was like after I first got the halo put in, so you know, a mixture of me waking up hopped on drugs and me in pain, I guess. So yeah, I was in the bed or in the wheelchair, and you know when you're a kid and you're visiting someone in the hospital and you run to the nearest not in use wheelchair and you ride it up and down the hallways. I don't know if anybody else does that, but like the people I know did. If you do know what I'm talking about, let me just say, you grow out of that really quick when you're confined to a wheelchair. Now I'm not trying to be insensitive to people who are in a wheelchair full time for whatever circumstance. As I said in my last video, I imagine that I'm probably heading that way kinda soon. But 14-year-old me did not enjoy the time that I was in the wheelchair. However, it might have been also because I had weights yanking me. I do actually have a sweet story about the time I was in the chair though. So before going up to Auckland and all the surgery and stuff, I may or may not have lost my fucking marbles. I think I've kind of like offhandedly mentioned the year I had my main mental breakdown and realised that I had depression and all of that. That was the year I was 13, and the year I was 14 I had major surgery. There was some slight overlap. So to help with my mental health, my mum would take me for walks every day, when I was in the chair. At the time there was construction happening around the hospital. I don't know if they were working on the pavement or the road or whatever, but there were these construction workers and we'd go past them every day, and you know, they'd give you the smiles of pity. Some of them were genuinely friendly smiles, but most of them were like, holy shit. But there were 2 times that these construction workers were really super sweet. The first was when my mum was trying to take me around the block and they had taken up a chunk of the footpath, and she was getting ready to turn around and take me back the other way when these guys noticed that she was trying to get through, and of course they'd seen me go around a few times before, and so these men just stopped what they were doing, came and like lifted up my chair. Like they were like, you know, pallbearers of a coffin. They're like that, but for my chair. And they literally just carried me over the section that they were working. And so yeah, they did that so me and mum could continue our walk, and that was really sweet. And then the second time, again they were working on a section of footpath, and this time mum was going to cross the street. And we did cross the street when I told her to stop, because I'd noticed that the men had made little ramps. So they'd sectioned off a part of the road for people to walk on, you know, when they're like digging up the footpath, and then they section off road so people can go around that way. They'd done that, and then they'd also used extra cement to make little wheelchair ramps just before the section that they were working on and just after, so that I could go around in my chair. And so I made mum go back so that we could use the ramp, so that, you know, we weren't being rude. And yeah, the smiles on their faces when we went and used their ramps was really cute. And I have no idea who any of those men are, but I do wish that like I did, so that maybe one day I could say thank you, because it was really sweet. Now for the second surgery, the actual fusion itself, I don't have much to tell you regarding me personally. They actually give you a drug so that you specifically don't remember. However, one thing that I do remember that's kind of dark, I'm able to tell when the anesthetic is going to take me. I don't know if anyone else can do that. They probably can, but the few people that I've talked to that have had surgery, they haven't been able to, you know, do that. Maybe it's just like something where like people who have had lots of surgeries kind of figure it out after a while, I don't know. Because I can tell I usually say, you know, good night to mum, who is always with me. However, this time, instead of saying good night, I decided to say goodbye. And when I tell you that my mother was pissed, that's a massive understatement. She was really, really mad. She basically just yelled at me and said, don't you ever say goodbye to me ever again. But I mean, yeah, as dark as it was, I was genuinely preparing for the worst at 14 years old. But yeah, the basic idea of spinal fusion, going back to science now, is to realign and fuse the vertebrae so that they heal into a single solid bone. The length of the fusion depends on the person, so if you have a slight curve, you'll probably have a smaller fusion. For me, I was fused with a Harrington rod and screw fixation from T3 to L5. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for, the post-op x-rays. Yes, that is in me. The surgery was done the same day that the halo came out, or off. So it was around 12 hours altogether, taking it off, getting the rods in. Recovery started pretty much immediately. I was made to stand up the next day, take a few steps, do the whole bed to chair, normal chair, not wheelchair, sit there for a little while, then go back. I was officially discharged about a week and a half later, and then the rest of my time off school was spent at home on bed rest or being homeschooled. I was homeschooled by an odd, but I'm assuming lovely lady, but yeah, she was a little strange. Spent more time talking to my cats than me. As for my life now, I'm still in a lot of pain. My spine is still curving, which is unusual. It's slow, but, you know, because it's not supposed to be curving at all, still slightly troubling. The lordosis is getting worse as well, but I don't know what I can do about that. Not a whole bunch is being done at all, really, because, you know, me still curving is an anomaly. Doctors don't really know what to do, and my x-rays now are showing me still looking kind of straight, so yeah, they don't really know what they can or should do. The most that is being done currently is more pain meds, which I don't usually accept because for some weird reason, despite no prior struggle, I'm terrified of getting addicted to pain meds. Weird, I know, but It's a thing. I actually had a doctor once tell me that pain is just a part of life now, which is fun. In winter, which is the season we're currently in, the rods in my spine cool all the way down, so it's kind of like I'm freezing from the inside out, which is, again, fun. As you saw, the fusion goes pretty much all the way down the length of my spine, so unsurprisingly, I can't bend. I am, however, slowly collecting a bunch of devices that help to make my life and Mum's life easier. I have the sock slider. You put your socks on this end and, you know, slide your foot in. This is a shoehorn and also helps to pick this up off the ground. This is your garden variety gripping tool to pick stuff off the floor. Pick stuff up off the floor. And then this is the freedom wand. So you put the toilet paper in there, close it to grip it in and wipe yourself, or you can put a razor in there and shave your legs. Do whatever you need to. I can make a whole separate video about how to use each of these properly and why I need them, and also rant about the various videos online of people making fun of them because they can't possibly think of what they're used for. I am not salty. As far as my mental state goes, this is the disability that I would say affected me the most. I think because while I don't remember much, I was at an age where I was able to understand the things that were happening to me, and like I'm able to register that a lot of my struggles today come from that. I have, however, for the most part accepted my limitations and near constant pain because there's not a whole bunch else I can do. I do know that at least for right now I'm okay, and that's where I'm at for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry this is late. I didn't actually finish writing up the thingy that I'm reading off until 5 PM yesterday, which is when I was supposed to film it. And by then it was dark, so couldn't really film. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video anyway. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Same with the last video. If you want to know more about scoliosis, I will put all my sources that I used for writing this up down below, so you can give those a read. Comment down below whatever you want, because this was a lot and I can't think of what to ask you to comment. Subscribe if you want. Tap the bell notification thingy to be notified every time I post, and I will see you next time. Bye!